Hello everyone, welcome back to the Midlife Budget. In today's video I will be taking you through our budget for November. So this month we have earned an income of around £6,400 and I will be showing you how we intend to use that budget, use that money to achieve our goals. So I have been using the Budget by Paycheck workbook and method from the Budget Mom since 2020. I started with her free sheets and then I had a digital download of the workbook, and then for the last few years I've invested in the actual physical workbook, and I find that this method and this system really works for me. Keeps everything in one place as well, which is useful. So I've changed my cover up for this start and refresh, so I hope you like it. I thought that was the most November-like cover that I had. These are all removable covers that you can buy in addition when you buy one of these planners. So let's move into November, and first thing I do is I plan out my months. Now I might just need to move my candle a bit. There we go. Move my plant a bit. Bring that into the middle, and I think we'll zoom in a bit so that you can see that a bit clearer. There, does that work? Okay. So here we are. So I got paid on Friday the 1st of October. I always get paid on the last working day of the month, and so does my husband, which really helps with your planning and your budgeting. So not really much going on this month, apart from the fact that we are both away with work this week commencing the 3rd of November, and then we're on annual leave the week after. So my husband is away with work on the 3rd. That will incur some expenses through work, which he will get reimbursed for. And then I'm away from the Tuesday until the Friday lunchtime. So I'll go away Tuesday night. My husband comes back Tuesday night. So we're like ships in the night. And then I'm away for the rest of the week. So I won't have seen him from Monday morning until Friday night. So yeah, it doesn't normally happen like that. I'm usually away kind of that much once a month or so. But yeah, it's just a coincidence that it's happened on the same month. And then we're on annual leave from Saturday. And then on the Sunday, we are going to decorate my mum's kitchen for us. So my mum's 85 and my stepdad's nearly 80. And I've had to bully them in to let me actually help them. So they had the ceiling plastered. So that needed painting, and the kitchen needs painting. And they say to me, I've managed to do one coat on the ceiling. And I was saying, I told you not to get on the ladder. So yeah, my husband and I are going to go down on the Sunday. We'll leave my son in the house on his own. He won't want to come down and just sit there looking at his phone while we're painting. So we'll do that. And we'll just take a packed lunch down with us, I think, that day, because we'll be all over the kitchen. So my mum won't be able to cook us any dinner. It's a bit much for her, really, asking her to cook a meal on the Sunday. And then, as I say, we're on annual leave this week, the week commencing the 10th. We haven't really got anything planned. My son's at school. So I think we'll probably do a couple of long walks with the dog. My husband's training for his long trail run that he's got in the new year. I think it's 35 miles. Well, it's not in the new year, it's in April, but he's getting some miles in his legs. And we're going to do some jobs around the house. So we are going to miscoat our utility room. We're going to paint our kitchen. We've got some other touch-up paint jobs to do and some deep cleaning things and what have you. So it's just a week of jobs, really, with a few walks with the dog and things. And then on Saturday, I'm getting my nails done and my hair done. So I've worked it quite well, actually, without realising that I'm getting my nails done at 9, which is an hour and a bit. And then I'll get my hair done at 10:45. So I'll probably have half an hour to nip to Morrison's across the road, get a coffee or something. Actually, I think there's a Costa in that little precinct. So yeah, so I might go get a cup of tea or something, or one of the seasonal hot chocolates. Might be my little treat on the Saturday. And then we haven't really got anything going on for the rest of November. I'll probably out with the girls. I know my husband's out one night with the lads. But that's about it, really. And then we get paid again on the 28th of November. So we have to cover 1, 2, 3, 4 Fridays. That's how I work out whether it's a 4-week month or a 5-week month. And then, yeah, we're paid again on the Friday, which is when the 5th week would start. So that goes into December, and December is a 5-week month. So I've made a note there for myself to remember that our Christmas dinner payment is due to the pub before the 1st of December. So I do have enough money in my Christmas savings challenges to cover that. So we might do that when we're off for the week. Otherwise, it'll be done this week before the end of the month. But we know what we're having because we've got to like submit your meal requests beforehand. So yeah, we'll do that. And then my financial goals for this month are to stick to our new food budget, which I'll share with you when I go through the budget. So it has been increased. I want to see if this is going to work. I want to add £400 to Christmas. Now I've only budgeted for 300, but I want to find that extra £100 from somewhere. Now I do have some savings challenges that were due to be paid out, but I also need to cover some work expenses from my husband being away, which I already know is incurred. So I'd still like to add £400 to Christmas, and I would like our savings to be over £1,500 in total by the end of November, even though I will have spent quite a bit of money. So that is quite a bit of a challenge. So our savings at the end of September were £1,546. So I would like to be at that. So I need to add to my savings, but I know we will be spending as well. I haven't actually done very much Christmas shopping at all. I've only spent £23.50 on Christmas gifts so far, which is, I can't believe that it's like this late into the year and I haven't even started. But my husband, he's having money towards his trip with the boys in January. I haven't got a clue what I want with mine. My son wants a phone, which is a big chunk of his, because his phone's on its last legs. And he'll use some of his birthday money towards that as well. So we will need to do a little bit of shopping for my son, but not very much at all, really. And I've got 2 families to pay for. So one's got 3 young girls, they'll probably get a gift, or at least a couple of them will get a gift. And then the older one will get money. And then another family, those girls will get money as well. I only buy for girls. Even my nieces and nephews, I have 3 nieces and 1 nephew, but they're all grown up now. They've got families of their own. So that is my November plan. So I'll show you the budget for November. Make sure you can still see that if I'm zoomed in a bit. Where's my plant gone? I look very beige. Where's my plant and my little candle? There we are. Okay, so do we need to zoom in a little bit more? I think so. Okay. So 31st of October to 27th of November is how long this budget will run for. I don't include my rollover when I'm planning the budget, but we had our salaries that came in at 6,073. So bonus was a little bit less this month. Plus, if you remember last month, we started adding additional payments to my husband's pension to help him catch up. Our child benefit came in at 104, and then I've got some work expenses and some YouTube money coming through, which amounts to about £200. So we have 6,377 to play with. So just under that 6,400 that I mentioned at the top of the video. And then all of our bills come out. So your usual suspects. So mortgage, council tax. We have 2 life insurance policies and 2 accident and sickness policies. So one of our life insurance policies was linked to our previous property, and that will expire in June next year. So I've paid that for 20 years. TV licence, gas and electric. So we both have electric cars. So this also is, the gas and electric that we use in our home, but it's also the electric to charge 2 cars. Water rates, 3 mobile phones. I still need to adjust my son's, but I think when he changes his phone, I'm going to put him on a different SIM-only plan, because the SIM-only plan he's on at the moment is really expensive, and I've been meaning to change it for about 2 years. Pet insurance at 65. The gym is for my husband. My husband has an app, which is kind of a weight loss food tracking app from when he was on the weight loss jabs. My son's pocket money is the 65, so that's pocket money, chores money. Anything that's left over from that goes in his savings pot. I've got Canva Pro at 13, the Ring doorbell at 5, 2 Apple Cloud storage come to £4. Then I've got Apple Music at 11 for my husband. We have the Sky TV, which is the TV and sport. Again, that's for my husband. I never watch telly. And our broadband. My son's gym. My son is referred to as the Chop on my channel because it's a nickname from when he was a baby. Kindle Unlimited at 10, and then my husband's PlayStation subscription at £7. So it's a total of £3,309 for all of our fixed expenses. And as you can see, most of those come out at the beginning of the month. And that leaves us £3,068. So then we've got our variable expenses. So I used to split out food and sort of beer money for my husband. But to be honest, he hardly has any beer, really. So I've just included it back into my food budget. I was trying to feed us, the three of us, and me with dietary restrictions on £100 a week. And we just sailed through it all of the time. And I just thought it's just an unrealistic number. I would rather budget more and come under and feel satisfied that I've come under budget. So I've actually set our food budget. So this is food, biscuits for the dogs, any alcohol for my husband. I don't drink in the house. I hardly drink at all, really. So it's £800, £200 a week, which is a generous budget. But I would say that we normally, if we're not absolutely on top of it, would spend more than that in a week. So we'll see how we get on with it. So it'll be an interesting experiment. So household is £30 for the month, and toiletries is £30 for the month. I do tend to get a lot of my household stuff from Costco, which I save for separately. So toilet roll, laundry items, dishwasher tablets, freezer bags, all that stuff I get from Costco. And toiletries is for the three of us. So unless it's special skincare, you know, shampoos, shower gel, toothpaste, everything comes out. Toiletries. Miscellaneous is £5 a week. That tends to be either car parking or postage. That miscellaneous, and most of the time I don't spend it. And then I have my husband, school is £80. So my son has school lunches. So it's usually £4 odd a day. So I add £80 to his school account at the beginning of the month, and that will last him. So it's like about £20 a week. We get £35 each per week as our personal spending money. That covers most of our clothes, all of our entertainment, hobbies, most of our books, things like that. So I think my husband's planning to buy a running vest, and I know we've already bought a book each. So yeah, my husband always gets his in a chunk at the beginning of the month, and I like mine spread out weekly. And then I've reduced our fun and eating out budget to £80. We don't really eat out that much. I mean, you know, we might take my son for his haircut and he gets a Greggs or something like that. We might have the odd takeaway, but with my dietary restrictions, eating takeaway is quite difficult, or you have to go to a particular restaurant that does takeaway. Like if I want Chinese, I have to go to specific takeaways or restaurants that provide it. So I think in October, we nowhere spent our fun budget, but it's there. And I've reduced it a little bit just to help with the food budget. So it's £1,320 for our variable expenses for the month, leaves us £1,748. Okay, and then we're doing our sinking funds, watch the stand, and our savings challenges. Okay, So I split them into annual, variable, birthdays, beauty, and then I have a separate ones for the big ones at the bottom. So annual covers things like home insurance, which I pay once a year, back to school expenses, uniform. So my son's doing his GCSEs this year. However, he is planning to go into sixth form. It all depends on whether he gets his finger out and actually does some revision and passes his GCSEs. But at his school, the sixth form wear a uniform. So it's a different coloured blazer, a different tie, and a different shirt. So I will still be covering that if he does go into sixth form. What other things are covered in that one? Medical expenses, dentist, glasses, those kind of things that you only pay out once a year or once or twice. Variable expenses are things that I could pay out a couple of times a week, a couple of times a month. I would say maybe every other month, every 3 months, that kind of frequency. And that's really where I ring fence money. So I put money aside from my budget so that I can budget better. So rather than just leaving it in the current account in a pot, I have my envelopes for those variable amounts, which, as I say, it just helps me stick to my budget. So this is my variable binder. If you can see, I've got things like barbers, health, so prescriptions or over-the-counter medicines, vitamins, that kind of thing. Dog food, the gardener. It's not a gardener, it's actually a guy who comes and treats our grass every quarter. My EV charging for charging my car on the public network with work, budgeting bits, buffer, those kind of things. So when I want to put money aside for it, and I might spend it in the month, like I do with barbers, might be spend that a couple of times a month, but I want to ring fence that money and put it to one side. Then I have beauty, which is my haircut, nails, skincare for us all, beauty, not that I've had a beauty appointment and I can't remember when, my nails, they all go into that separate one. Clothes as well is actually added to my beauty, but added to annual for my husband and son. And then I've got my EV charging. So this is really just a pot, which is my work expenses. So I spend it, they pay me back. I spend it, they pay me back. So I just put that to one side. That's coming out of this expenses payment at the top. Okay. And then I'm putting £100 aside for home projects this month. So we are in the middle of completely refurbing our utility room. So we had a heating system boiler emergency back in April of this year, and we had to have our entire boiler that was only less than 3 years old and our heating system completely ripped out and replaced because it was very dangerous. We also had to have our toilet replaced in our downstairs cloakroom because that had stopped working. I mean, God, it was about 30 years old. And we had a vanity sink put in that room as well. But because of all the work they did in the room, taking the boiler out and what have you, we ended up having to have the whole room replastered. And it wasn't plasterboard. It was chipboard with wallpaper on. So it had to go back to brick and be replastered. And our friend did some work for us as well. And I had a concrete floor with a manhole cover in the middle of the utility room. And he's actually levelled the floor, which means that I can have proper lino in that room, like vinyl or what have you, and not the rubber back carpet, which I've had before. But everything's had to come out. The skirting boards have been removed. They're all still in the loo, but not in the main room. We've had the sink taken out. We've had a new worktop put in. So the whole room has to be done. So the £100 there is going towards the flooring, which I've had a quote for, which is £253 to be supplied and fitted, but it's on back order at the minute. So I'm going to add that to home projects so we can get that flooring sorted, and then we can move on with the rest of the room. So there's £840 going towards sinking funds, and then I'm putting £300 towards Christmas, and £150 into challenges. So I'm only doing a couple of challenges. So Christmas is challenges. So Christmas has its own binder and it has a number of different challenges which will add up to the amount I need for Christmas. And then challenges, I'm only doing little challenges for the rest of this year, and probably into next year I am just doing little ones, or mainly little challenges. So I am doing the last couple of months of the Friday saver, so I've got November in there. You can see I've started it because I'm recording this after I've done my cash stuffing. And then I've got my 2025 saver, which I'm saving towards my husband's trip. And then I've got this flannels, lattes and leggings one, which is for £75. And that's just if I've got a little bit of money left over each week in the budget. I'm going to do that one. And then that one you'll see when I do my cash stuffing, which will be out tomorrow. So a lot less in here. It's important that I stick to my budget. I don't have huge amounts left over for stuff. And then my payments down here, my debt payments, have a long-term payment. So that is not interest bearing, and it is over a very, very long term, which is £349. And then my short-term payment is the credit card that we had to put part of the balance of the boiler on when we had all that work done in the new year, in April. So we emptied all of our envelopes and we were able to cover most of it, but we did have to put an amount on there as well. And that has been hanging around for a while now, and it's starting to get on my nerves. So I need to get rid of it. So all of my savings, sinking funds and challenges, it's £1,290, leaving me £458. I paid those two debt payments out at £452. It leaves me £6. So that is my budget for November. Now, I actually budget and cash stuff weekly. I find that helps me stick to my budget better than if I was front-loading everything and then spending from those envelopes. So some of my budgets, I do cash stuff at the beginning of the month, and then it's just that one budget. But I do find it works for me better cash stuffing weekly. So I have this monthly budget, and then let me just zoom out a bit. And I'll show you that what I do on a weekly basis, not this week, it's this week. I'll show you this one. This is week 2. Okay. So I have my income at the top. So this is week 2. So I'll roll over what I've got left at the end of week 1. Not expecting any other income in, and I'm not expecting to use any other savings. And then I will plot out each week what direct debits are coming out. So you can see I've already been working on the first week, and you can see most of my direct debits come out because it's the beginning of the month. But this is week 2, which runs 7th to 13th of November. And I've got Apple storage, my son's mobile, and my husband's PlayStation membership thing that come out. And then I split my variable expenses. So my food is cash stuffed weekly. My household and toiletries, that's just what's rolling over from week 1. That's what I've got left. My miscellaneous is funded weekly. My spending I do weekly, and then the eating out and fun budget is rolled over, and there's money added to it each week. And that's only because we haven't spent the £20. And then I will split out each week what I'm allocating to my sinking funds. So I've got school and Mr.'s clothes this week. They are annual. I've got my birthday, which is our birthdays. I've then got the dog and Costco, which are variable. I've got my hair, our skincare and my nails, which come out of beauty. And then I've got Christmas and challenges, which are on here as well. Try not to set fire to my piece of paper. Okay, and then I've got no debt payments coming out. And then when I've allocated that, what I do is I work out what money I need. So I've got the category, so the sinking fund or the other payment, the savings challenge or whatever it might be, the amount that I'm going to stuff, and then I've broken it down to whether I need £20, £10, £5 or £1 coins. So I know I need 22 £20 notes, 8 tenors, 5 fivers and 5 £1 coins to cash stuff that £5, that £550 for the second week of November. And I do that every week. Let's move the candle so you can see. There's week 3 and there's week 4. And I will just do the cash breakdowns as I go through. So that is how I budget. I do find that is the way that works for me the best, to budget monthly. So I've got my plan and then I budget weekly to enable me to stick to my plan. Plus it means I get to cash stuff 4 times, which is fabulous, because cash stuffing, being able to physically see that money grow in my envelopes, and then doing that, the count up at the end, is, I think, the biggest benefit of cash stuffing, is that it's so motivational, and you've got that money put aside for those things that you need. And I wish I discovered it years ago. I think before I started this budget by paycheck method, I did have a couple of sinking funds. I think I had one for the dog, I had one for haircuts, and I had one for car insurance. God, that's years ago. I've had a company car for God knows how many years. So those were the 3 that I had, because those were the ones that I always never had the money for. So I needed to put the money aside. They really, really do work for me. I love sinking funds. I don't think I would be, I would not have been able to cover that boiler episode in April if I hadn't got sinking funds. So there we go. That is my budget for November. If you do have any questions about anything we spend or don't spend on, then do let me know in the comments. And tomorrow I will be sharing my cash stuffing for the first week of November. So until then, do take care, and I will see you all soon. Bye bye.